कृष्ण। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवारधारी जय गोपी जन जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवारधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी यमुना तीरवन जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी कुंज बिहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ISKCON founder Acharya, DVT founder Acharya, Savior of the whole world Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ थिरपुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। शामवेद गौरभक्त के गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled deities, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled deities, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled deities, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Krishna Prabhupada ki jai. So today we are going to read from Canto 6, Chapter 16 and text number 1 and yes, Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatmudiraye Nashya Prayeshaya Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Mantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So I'll read introduction to the chapter 1 and then I'll cover a few more verses as we have time. So this title of the chapter is King Chitraketu meets the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada writes here, as related in this chapter, Chitraketu was able to talk with his dead son and hear from him the truth of life. When Chitraketu was appeased, the great sage Narada gave him a mantra, and by chanting this mantra, Chitraketu found shelter at the lotus feet of Sankarsana. The living entity is eternal, thus he has neither birth nor death. Na hanyate hanyamane sarire. Bhagavad Gita 2.20. According to the reactions of one's fruitive activities, one takes birth in various species of life amongst the birds, beasts, trees, human beings, demigods, and so on, thus rotating through various bodies. For a certain period of time, one receives a particular type of body, as a son or father in a false relationship. All our relationship in this material world with friends, relatives, or enemies consist of duality in which one feels happy and distressed on the basis of illusion. The living entity is actually a spiritual soul who is part and parcel of the God and has nothing to do with the relationship in the world of duality. Therefore, Narada Muni advised Chitraketu not to lament for his so-called dead son. After hearing instructions from their dead son, Chitraketu and his wife could understand that all relationships in this material world are causes of misery. The queens who had administered poison to the son of Kritaditi were very much ashamed. They atoned for the sinful actions of killing a child and gave up their aspiration to have sons. Thereafter, Narada Muni chanted prayers to Narayana, who exists at Chaturvyuha, thank you, Prabhu, and instructed Chitraketu about the Supreme Lord, who creates, maintains, and annihilates everything, and who is the master of the material nature. After instructing King Chitraketu in this way, he returned to Brahmaloka. These instructions about the absolute truth are called Mahavidya. Being initiated by Narada Muni, King Chitraketu chanted the Mahavidya, and after 1 week he attained the presence of Lord Sankarsana, who was surrounded by 4 Kumaras. The Lord was nicely dressed in bluish garments with a helmet and ornament of gold. His face appeared very happy. In the presence of Lord Sankarsana, Chitraketu offered his obeisances and began to offer prayers. In his prayers, Chitraketu said that millions of universe rest in the pores of Sankarsana, who is limitless, having no beginning and end. The Lord is well known to the devotees for his eternity. The difference between the worshipping the Lord and the worshipping the demigod is that the worshipper of the Lord also becomes eternal, whereas whatever benediction one can get from the demigods are impermanent. Unless one becomes a devotee, one cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After Chitraketu finished his prayer, the unlimited Supreme Lord explained knowledge of himself to Chitraketu. So we will do verse 1, or maybe a few more, just so that I am able to say something. So, should I do Prabhu word by word or just read? Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Sri Vadarayana Vacha Atha Devrisi Rajan Samprapretam Nripa Atmajam Darashivit. How do you say, Prabhu? Darshayit Vitva Veti Iti Ha.
No, you do it just from the transliteration, not from the word by words.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I'm reading below. Thank you, Prabhu. Jnatinam Anusochatam. Thank you. So then I can do complete and then word by word? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sri Vadarayani Vacha Atha Devarsi Rajan Sampraparetam Nripatmajam Darshayit Vetveti Hovacha Jnanitanam Anushochatam. Sri Vadarayani Vacha Atha Devar Rishi Rajan Samprapten Nripatmajam Darshayeti Veti Hovacha Jnatinam Anushochatam. Sri Vadarayani Vacha Atha Devarsi Rajan Samparetam Nripatmajam Darshayetyeveti Hovacha Jnatinam Anusochatam. Sri Vadarayani Vacha Atha Devarshi Rajan Samparetam Nripatmajam Darshayeti Veti Hovacha Jnatinam Anushochatam. Sri Vadarayani Vacha Atha Devarshi Rajan Samparetam Nripatmajam Darshayeti Hovacha ज्ञातिनाम् अनुशोचताम् श्रीबादरायणी उवाच अथा देवर्षिराजन् सम्परेतं नृपात्मजम् दर्शयति वेत्ति होवाच ज्ञातिनाम् अनुशोचताम्. Anybody on the Zoom?
Yes, may I?
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Thank you very much. You're most kind. Shri Badarai Anir Uvacha
Srivadarayini Uvacha
Ata Devarishi Rajan
Atha Devarshi Rajan
Samparitam Nripatmajam
Samparetam Nripatmajam
Darshai Itveti Hovacha
Darsayet Veti Hovacha
Gyatinam Anushochatam.
Gyatinam Anusochatam. Word by word meaning? By His Divine Grace, His Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sri Vadarayani Vacha. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Atha, thus, Devarisi, the great sage Narad, Rajan, O king, Samparetam, dead, Nipatmajam, the son of the king, Darshayeti va, making visible, Iti, thus, Ha, indeed, Vacha, explained, Jnanitam, Gyatinam, to all the relatives, Anusochatam, who were lamenting. Translation, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, My dear King Parikshit, by his mystic power, the great sage Narada brought the dead son into the vision of all the lamenting relatives and then spoke as follows. So I can cover few more, read few more verses, Prabhu? Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Sri Narada Muni's text number 2. Sri Narada Muni said, O living entity, all good fortune unto you. Just see your father and mother. All your friends and relatives are overwhelmed with the grief because of your passing away. Text number 3. Because you died untimely, the balance of your lifetime still remains. Therefore, you may re-enter your body and enjoy the remainder of your life. Surrounded by your friends and relatives, accept the royal throne and all the opulence given by your father. Text number 4. By the mystic power of Narada Muni, the living entity re-entered his dead body for a short time and spoke in reply to Narada Muni's request. He said, According to the result of my fruitive activities, I, the living being, transmigrate from one body to another, sometimes going to the species of demigods, sometimes to the species of lower animals, and sometimes amongst the vegetables, and sometimes to the human species. Therefore, in which birth were these my mother and father? No one is actually my mother and father. How can I accept these two people as my parents? Purport. Here it is made clear that the living entity enters a material body like a machine created by the 5 gross elements of material nature: earth, water, fire, air, and sky, and the 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and ego. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, there are 2 separate entities called the inferior and the superior natures, which both belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to the results of a living entity's fruitive actions, he is forced to enter the material elements in different type of bodies. This time, the living entity was supposed to have been the son of Maharaj Chitraketu and Queen Krityaduti, because according to the laws of nature, he had entered a body made by the king and the queen. Actually, however, he was not their son. The living entity is the son of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because he wants to enjoy this material world, the Supreme Lord gives him a chance to enter various bodies. The living entity has no true relationship with his material body he gets from his material father and mother. He is the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and he is allowed to go through different bodies. The body created by so-called father and mother actually has nothing to do with its so-called creators. Therefore, living entity flatly denied the Maharaj Chitraketu and his wife were his father and mother. उमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुपुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं तव कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णवों की जय। So here, very relevant and very basic topic we are going to discuss today in our philosophy. And I'd like to seek all of your blessings and forgiveness if I speak anything irrelevant, which I do. So please forgive. So there is always this dilemma of body and soul, right? This is a constant battle, right? So I'll try to touch on few points I noted based on my limited understanding. Okay, just going back to So few things here before go to core topic. I was reading the introduction Prabhupada writing here. In the first line, he says then when Chitraketu was appeased, and then Narad Muni gave mantra, right? And we have appeased means was that Chitraketu was ready to receive spiritual knowledge, unless Narad Muni didn't say anything. So, which emphasize that our one of the offense that don't disturb people who not faith doesn't have interest in Krishna consciousness unnecessarily, because they would blaspheme or they would just go further down deep. We will not help them. It will become enemy because they are gonna do offense and they're gonna fall down further and further and further. So this was for me was practically okay. This is how it's working right here. And then he got mantra and he wanted to. He did all of that and receive instruction. Another interesting thing comes here. Within a week of chanting this mantra, and which is called Mahavidya, he got darshan of the Lord and 4 Kumaras. This is very, very much like astonishing for someone like me. Like within a week, it seems like no. Even DOT circle people who is not advanced, they may think, oh, how? Like practically, I have never experienced this, right? But this is the fact written here. Then we read here introduction here that why we emphasize that we should worship Krishna directly than worshipping demigods, right? And one thing which hit my thought here is Prabhupada is writing that that deities, people who worship demigods, they are not going to get out of this material world. This is again and again. Actually, this whole canto is emphasizing Indra's situation, all the demons' situation. Unless they worship Krishna or his incarnation directly, mostly his direct incarnation, they won't be able to go back home, back to Godhead. And then what they will do? They will keep on cycling here. It's a cycle. But the people here, he says, Prabhupada is saying, The difference between worshipping the Lord and the worshipping the demigod is that the worshipper of the Lord also become eternal. This is very, again, this. So the people who are the living entities who are worshipping Krishna directly, there is a full assurance that we become eternal, like the Krishna. We acquire the features of what the qualities in minute quantity of what Krishna has. However, the worshippers of demigods get some byproduct result, and then they finish their balance and they go back again, same situation, right? This is totally different plane, like there is no comparison. It's like upside down whole thing, right? And often, at least I don't realize this specific statement, right, like that, how important situation we are in, with whatever material problems may be going on in life, but the position and platform is so high that there is no chance to kind of getting entangled. If we try, of course, there is a free will, there is a lot of other things, right? Now coming back to killing and dying, right? So this verse here, Prabhupada is saying in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2 and 20, Na jayate mrite va kadachit. So it's the translation says, for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when body is slain. Perfect. This we read often, right? This, okay, so. But why this is so hard to realize it, right? This is really, maybe after I go out of the class, then I just, same thing I'm gonna do. Like, okay, this is my body, this is my children, this is my wife, this is my job, this is my car, it is so, feel like so strong. And sometimes I think I'm pretending, being pretender to these knowledge, right? Like, okay, I know it, but I don't know. Really, maybe I just don't know what to do with this knowledge, right? What exactly I'm going to do with this, right? And with that, with a lot of people, when you say that soul is eternal, and you're killing the body, but not the soul, then people say, okay, so then why not kill? Because you ultimately are not killing the living entity, you can kill the body. The people advance or use this knowledge to promote animal killing. They argue that, okay, I'm killing eating animals, so what's wrong? I'm not killing the soul. The soul is going to get another body. They don't care. They even don't know the soul and all. They just kill it, eat it, finish it, right? And I read or hear somewhere when Prabhupada was explaining this, I was not clear long amount of time that why animal killing is so abominable and how does it affects me, how does it affect especially the animal, the person who is getting killed, right? Maybe, okay, I get sin, but what about that person got killed, right? So he explains there that when we kill any living entity, okay, just like here, the child has certain duration of life. The queens poisoned him, so they terminated the child's or living entity's natural progress into the higher species of life, right? Because this is natural progression. Birth after birth, we are allowed to go to higher species. Like an animal may become higher animal, then become human. Cow, human slowly goes to the higher. But by killing, we are doing two things. One, we are stopping what was soul supposed to go through. So if that animal is supposed to live for 10 years and I wanted or someone wanted to eat meat of a newborn babies, there are a lot of things going on out there, like fresh, very early age they kill animals to kind of so within 1 year you kill them, 9 year again, Prabhupada explains, that soul again has to come back to in the same body to complete the 10-year cycle. So 9 years, right? And the remaining gonna come back. This is an example, just to finish again. And since I killed it killed the animal, I have to take birth again in the body of that animal and being killed by the same animal. And then from human I'm going down, kill the kid again, and I never know what's going to happen, what mode I am in that body, what I'm going to achieve. So it is so abominable, not just killing itself, but the outcome of it is so horrible. And a lot of people actually, they're ignorant. It's not that they just don't know most of time. They have no intelligence to understand, or they have no opportunity to get that knowledge from someone who is like Prabhupada, and we have this opportunity, right? And then people argue again, so what's wrong? Even in Vedic sacrifice, there is killing of animals are allowed. You kill animals, Kali and so many things happen. Lord Buddha came because there was whole Vedic thing was destroyed of sacrifice, animal killing, and people started eating the meat because, on the name of animal killing at prasadam. And then coming of prasada, still people do it. In Bengal, the fish is offered and so on and so forth, right? So they justify it. And if we don't have this knowledge of why, we know it, like because in Vedic sacrifice, it's not that you are stopping the cycle. You're not stopping. First thing, you're not stopping a cycle. You are giving better life, better body by the mantra chanted by the Brahmanas. There is authorized process. Whether someone believes or doesn't believe, it doesn't matter. The fact is fact. Whether I believe or don't believe, it that doesn't change, right? Whether I believe, suppose in this world, right, somebody becomes a president who is not qualified. Whether I believe he or she is not a president doesn't matter. The fact is fact. This is done, right? So it doesn't matter who is what. The whatever is there in front of it, right? Same thing. Here in Vedic sacrifice, we know that there is a process and it is done for a purpose of giving higher body at the same time. Get some material results. In Vaishnava philosophy or philosophy of attaining devotional service, there is no mention of killing animals because we understand this cycle of we're gonna enter by doing that, right? This was the second point. The third point I wanted to share quickly, relationship, and this is my favorite because I go through so a lot. In Grihastha life, you have to go through so much in this situation, like especially this age, right? When you have a lot of expectation everywhere, not just parents, but the family members, the children, as they grow up, they will have more expectation, right? And very interestingly, so I didn't know unless today I was reading this relationship. It's surface, it feels like very real. Let's be practical. I mean, how can I deny my father and mother who gave me birth? Like I have a small daughter. I have seen from womb to grow, gave birth, and then, those interactions. And how suddenly hear the statement that it's all nonsense. It just doesn't sink in, right? Like so hard to sink in everything. Like how can I reject parents? Because that's the highest level of mostly relationship between parents and child. This like mother and child, father and child, and mother and child is most strongest. So here Prabhupada mentions that this interaction is the key, right? I may be the son of someone who is my father and mother, but if my interaction with my father and mother is not father and motherly nature, then there is no relationship. We know it. Like lot of what does it mean by break the relationship? What it is, right? There is nothing I'm breaking physically, right? It's all mentally. Like, but let's break the relationship from parents and mother, or even in divorce cases and what's so happening, right? That's also more lower level than father and mother. But what does it mean by break the relationship? Which means the break the interaction. Stop the interaction. Stop thinking about next person, right? That's how we define breaking relationship in this world, right? And how do we define what is good relationship, what is bad relationship? Here it's mentioned nicely, I think, in next verse purport, but I want to touch here. I didn't knew this again. the relationships are based on modes of nature. This was very new for me. Like, okay, I understand I act by mode of nature. Other people act by their modes of nature. The modes of nature is controlling, the different type of activities out there. But I didn't knew that the modes of material nature also define relationship. For example, if I have friendship with a person who is my friend, okay, today he or she is my friend. But tomorrow, if my interaction with the person gets bad because of so many reasons, maybe, right? Then my interaction transforms into mode of ignorance, because then person becomes my enemy immediately. Like the moment I change the thought process, the same person who was friend today, next moments become enemy. Or person said something bad about me. Oh, this person is not good to me. How does it happen? Nothing changed. The body is same, the person is same, the soul is same, everything is same. But just that interaction in different mode changed the whole relationship, right? Like we see here that Krishna has so many modes of relationship. Gopis as a friend, mode of goodness, or higher than mode of goodness, beyond the mode. Passion, fighting, having war and all that. Passion. Why passion? It's not ignorance in a sense, because everybody is doing their duty. Fighting is not, in Vedic time, fighting was more based on principle. Like we know in Mahabharata, Pandavas and Kauravas used to fight in daytime, but the night time they used to sit together and discuss. Okay, what went out today? And we see whole Mahabharata, right? So now we don't have that kind of fighting. Fighting means, just nothing after. I don't want to talk to you. But the fighting was for killing each other, but in the evening they were talking to each other like a friend. I mean, this total different worldview of switching the relationship. Why they were doing that? Because they were fighting on the principles. They were doing their duty, right? So they don't have the bad in their mind, but they were just fighting for the cause. Whether bad cause or good cause, but they had a cause. Everybody has a cause as per the modes of nature. They want to advance that cause, right? And so this relationship thing, and then in the next verse, again the purport Prabhupada will explain. This is another very, transformating thought about me from this for me, is that why did Chitraketu was lamenting for the son? We need to understand a little bit, like why son was born, and if he was very advanced, he knew that there is a soul. Okay, soul died. You're lamenting for body. It's okay because there is an interaction in mode of goodness. You consider that person as a friend because son, right? So friend. So you're lamenting. But Prabhupada switches that point, saying, if something in our life happens, right? Suppose I have something very dear, some daughter or a wife or parents, very dear mode of goodness relationship, not mode of passion and ignorance. And they die, they disappear suddenly, like they're gone, right? Now what should I do? The relationship was in mode of goodness, and suddenly I start crying and lamenting becomes mode of ignorance. Because like crying, lamenting, grieving, all the modes of ignorance. So Prabhupada explains, why don't you, Chitraketu, think like this? This son, whose living entity was in that body of the sun, was my enemy. Why? Because the living entity came in the body provided by me and my wife to give me pain, and then left me in grief. Right? So that's why this soul was my enemy in my past life and came in this life as my relationship, and now giving me pain. So why should I lament for an enemy which came in my life and gave me this pain? This is totally different level of understanding, right? In different situations. For example, somebody is giving a lot of trouble in my life. How should I take? Because naturally I start, hating, ignoring and all. But if I take this path, maybe this person in past life was my enemy, now giving me all the trouble. That's okay, it's fine. I'm clearing my karmas and getting out to the next step. And even if I lose it, especially in relationship, because in COVID people lost a lot of people in their life, maybe the grief, the lamentation, the degree it comes, the degree of enemies was more than versus other way, right? Somebody gets a relationship, then gets a divorce, and is a lot of affair, love, and then after 10 years, hey, I'm going away. So what was that, right? And I think this statement and logic which Prabhupada puts is very practical in our life. Somebody loses job, somebody loses property, somebody loses health, somebody loses, could be anything, right? But it is maybe just that, right? Consider as enemy rather than friend, and don't lament for it and move on from the whole situation, right? So these are the, there are a lot of other things in this whole section, especially body and soul, and then, going into a lot of detail, but I'm not going to go because of sake of time, and we can take some questions here. I would stop commenting or speaking here.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu.
I can wait for the questions and comments to be presented by the temple room devotees, no problem.
You're so kind. Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Very nice explanation and detailed explanation to look at life differently and according to the sloka. My question is, when you mention that somebody had killed, like people kill an animal and then animal comes and kill again to the person in next life, or so sometime I think that right now it's not good to kill, but some people can argue that my question, I want to understand that maybe that person is killing the animal who killed the person before, vice versa.
Yeah.
So sometime I think that way rather than like hating or judging that person. And also, like, like you said, in householder, we have to live with so many situations, or with daughter or granddaughter, whoever, their extended family and all that. So then people argue in that way. And then somebody said, mentioned when I talked about, I don't like to judge, but then they said, oh, why are you judging? Because I didn't change anything because I'm used to being vegetarian. I never had to sacrifice anything. And now somebody who has to sacrifice, then it's different. And so even vegan people say that, oh, you are vegetarian, but vegan is better because then the cows are being pregnant every year just to get milk, to give us milk. And then we are also being selfish in a way that we are getting milk, and cow has to go through pregnancy for just to give us milk and all that. And they torture and all that. So anyway, that was, and I...
Yes, no,
I
thank
didn't
you.
understand.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so I think the first part, right? Yes, the network of karmas are so complex, and Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, we can't trace it even, because the soul is eternal. We are part and parcel of, Prabhupada explains in Bhagavad Gita in the same verse 2.20, right? We are very tiny. We came from Krishna. Be part of it. We are still Krishna. We think so. Because the soul is Krishna's nature. So it's really, since the soul is hard to trace when the soul was made and how old the soul is, it's hard to trace how many lifetimes the soul has gone and how many karmas the soul created. And in every day I think I'm creating karma. It's really hard to have a documentation. But for me it's hard, but the Krishna has all the documentation. It's like your log file from your from your work. The computer, Moglila Prabhu or we are operating. Every movement is getting logs, and Krishna can trace every logs, good, bad, neutral, Everything cannot be traced out. We don't know it. That's what Krishna explains to Arjuna. You don't remember anything, but I remember everything because I have been there, I am here, I will be there. You as a soul will be there, but the body you can't remember because body is material, including 5 gross senses, 5 material element and 3 subtle one, right? Mind, intelligence, ego. Yeah, so that's the one part, and there's a whole, I don't want to get into deep into that. And then second part, he was saying like about people questioning, the cow has to be pregnant to give birth to child and then take the milk, right? I mean, if they are so pious and in mode of goodness, I mean, I understand. First thing, it's illogical. Let's first refute that because everybody has prescribed duties in specific bodies. Let's accept it. Within this body of human body, I have different prescribed duty depending on varna and ashram. Now, if somebody agrees to that somebody Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Vanapas, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanapas, Sannyasi, right? There is different mode and everything. So the different animals doesn't have any purpose. They just out there made by God to be misused or exploited by humans. That's the purpose. God is so cruel that He will create few billion people to kill few trillion and control trillions and trillions of living entity around us. And just, we are so special. I don't think so. Krishna is not partial. God is not partial. He is very kind. So the cow, some soul got a body of the cow to complete the cycle. Why? To serve, the milk. And somehow the cows as a body is very dear to Krishna. As a body itself. The soul who gets body of cows is very important for Krishna. And now somebody could question why Krishna cares about cow. I mean, He's God. He can care for anything He wants. He can care for dog. He can care for elephant. Who is I am to question that? Why He care for cows, right? People argue nonsense. This happens. You get to know. Why cow? Why not dogs and cats Krishna has? I mean, right? So He's God. He's supreme. You can't judge your president what Biden or Trump was doing last year, and now Biden is doing. If you cannot question these material people, how can you question God? I mean, this is no logic. It's just insane. Now coming back to the question of morality, mode of goodness, nice thoughts. But what about when they have relationship and then the mother gets pregnant and then they kill the child? These people who are in vegan, if they are in a relationship, they must have done multiple abortions so far. Same persons, same people who are talking about vegan and philosophy, goodness, morality. What is nonsense going on there? How do you can just ask them, okay, do you know anyone in your circle who may be your friend, went through this process of going to Planned Parenthood? Right? I'm sure if they are grown up, of their own parents maybe have done multiple killing before they were born. Right? This is hypocrisy. This is just hypocrisy, nothing else. Because why people say that? They don't want to take responsibility of maintaining cows. Simple. It's all business transaction. Everything depends on how much profit you can make. Cows are not profitable in terms of milk, but they are profitable in terms of meat. Right? So if we don't consume something, what's going to happen? It will be lost, whether good or bad. So if we stop taking milk, what's going to happen? People who are trying to just serve in mode of goodness, maintaining cow, giving milk, anyway, people are killing cows to get meat. Right? But if we shift to milk and not just shift to milk, leave the meat. Leave the meat. So I'm sorry, but the whole philosophy is not aligning in my ideas. Like, what is happening there? Like, just by not eating milk, do you think that you're going to clear up all the karmas? And not eating, which Krishna takes. So if I am Krishna conscious person and I don't want to take milk product, so Krishna was also offender. Krishna was not vegan, right? Let's put it straight. Krishna was not vegan. So this whole philosophy, even in Krishna consciousness, with my short knowledge of veganness and all that, in the name of, okay, health, fine. But morality, nonsense. Because Krishna is not vegan. So we are Krishna follower, not vegan follower, not vegetarian follower. We are Krishnatarian prasadam. Anything offered to Krishna is prasadam. It doesn't matter. And we should follow him rather than following. I'm sorry, but I'm just being very blunt and straightforward on this subject.
Thank you
for
Prabhu.
asking.
It's true, and that person, the one who was asking, it's not. He or she was saying that because they torture animals in that way, sometimes it's easier to get killed than getting tortured so much in a small space or whatever it is, and that person says it's better not to judge because we also go through, we do so much. And I said, yeah,
I agree.
I'm
We should not judge anyone.
Judge anyone
We should
or
not
hate anyone, or like because they eat meat or drink, I stop like being judgmental in my mind. I used to be like, oh no, yucky or something like that on their face. I used to say,
Yes.
But then I'm changing that, how to at least. By my example of whatever I do, I just try not to be quiet and tolerate in that way, because tolerance also part of, I guess, the Shakti.
Yes.
So
thank you.
And then they can learn something by my example.
Yes. So
thank you.
that's what Arjuna was trying to do in battlefield. Okay. I will give little context here, right? Inaction is not good thing. Inaction is not appreciated by Krishna. He doesn't like Arjuna saying, here is my everything, I'm going down, I'm going to go forest and retire. It's better to die, killed by them rather than fighting with them, right? So what I used to do, like this is Prabhupada also suggests we should do with people who are not in Krishna consciousness, offer them alternative. Offer them prasadam, right? Vegan prasadam, okay? Vegan prasadam, right? Which in Thursday program we are doing. Offer them alternative rather than ignoring, hating, judging, right? We follow, Vaishnavas follow positive affirmation, not like inaction. No, we don't want to be neutral and, become samadhi and don't want to care about, let them go, I don't want to disturb. Yes, we don't disturb, but we give them positive. And if they get mercy of prasadam, which Krishna himself, Krishna says that I am the food, I am water, he is everything. Once it is offered, it's like supercharged. So it's like super charged. You got recharged, the prasadam. So you can offer prasadam. I used to offer in my, in job in Washu, to give prasadam. People who, whenever I go from temple, take little prasadam. They love it. Used to invite at home, especially those people, and offer them nice association. Like invite some more devotees, invite them, and on birthdays or any occasion, hey, let's hang out on weekend. They come. I know they drink. They will go after here and then drink and do nonsense. But it's okay. It's a chance. The whole movement is to giving chance to everyone to get this taste. Who knows? Yeah. But no, not in action. Otherwise, we are just being like materialist, ignoring. We are here to offer, give them. Okay, try. No, fine. That's what book distribution, that's what whole activities are trying everywhere, right? Even giving this knowledge, the opportunity on YouTube, maybe somebody will watch somewhere, who knows, right? Somewhere you get hit by the knowledge. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu, you can ask your question. I think we are... I'll come back to the room if there are more questions, but please, Prabhu.
May I?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, if I may I know your name?
Purushottama Das.
Yes, Purushottama Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind. Dandavat pranams. Prabhu, do you mind reciting again the two last sentences of the purport?
Oh, the four, okay. Okay, I'm going back, Prabhu. The last two sentences?
Of the purport to text 4.
Okay, so as to start from the living entity has no true relationship, from there?
Yes, you may start from there.
Okay. The living entity has no true relationship with material body he gets from his material father and mother. He is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but he is allowed to go through different bodies. The body created by so-called father and mother actually had nothing to do with its so-called creators. Therefore, the living entity flatly denied that Maharaj Chitraketu and his wife were his father and mothers. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind. Prabhu, based on this quote, my question is, why if the body created by the so-called father and mother actually has nothing to do with its so-called creators, the so-called father and mother, why does Lord Krishna chants in his Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that one of the austerities of the body is to worship father and mother?
Yes.
That is my question.
Thank you. Yes. So I
You're
think
welcome.
based on what I understand, and Ravila Prabhu can comment if required, whatever he feels. But in Bhagavad Gita, there is a lot of message actually. It's not just about, in Bhagavad Gita there is different messages. Like it's not just one message. Of course, there is a one message if somebody understands it. But for different people, the Bhagavad Gita offers knowledge to everyone. That's what Krishna's purpose was. He doesn't assume that everybody will be in transcendental platform and then read chapter 18 and then Sarvadharm Parityaj Mamim Saralam Braja, and I will take care of you. He doesn't expect everyone to do. And that's why he offers, Sankhya Yoga, starting with Sankhya Yoga, chapter 2, and it has everything though, but the Sankhya Yoga is the soul and body. Then, Karma Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, the Karma in Krishna consciousness, Karma, so many philosophies, right? And so he gave Arjuna option of everything. Okay, can you first understand body and soul? They are soul, okay, fine. Now can you act as a duty? If you cannot, okay, if you cannot act, you say, no, I can't. Okay, can you act on the platform of jnana? Or then meditation? Okay, he is giving different kind of examples to convince him. Okay, at the end he's not forcing, he's saying you decide what you want to do, right? Likewise, even the example Yogyeb, that is given for someone, not for devotees, because all right, we respect, naturally if a devotee means higher than human. So human quality is to respect, to be respectful to elders and all this naturally comes in our culture. But worshipping parents alone is not recommended, that's my understanding. It's inclusive. So once we are worshipping Krishna, we are anyways worshipping all the living entities. Krishna also said you are worshipping all the forefathers up and down are liberated. What about worshipping? Forget about worshipping, they are liberated out of this material clutch. I mean, that's a different level of benediction than thinking just, okay, I respect you, but what if I'm able to, with my action, able to, different level of action, able to liberate my parents. I mean, that's my understanding, that's where the level of knowledge and the context, what a person is looking at, decides the interpretation in different context, what we read in Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or the whole philosophy. Because some people just, I've been doing this Bhagavad Gita course in the last month and the last week, and the chapter 1 and 2 was context, and almost 20-30 people write questions, because there was a quiz and I asked them to write questions in the quiz so that I can collate and find out who is thinking what, right? Amazing. And most of them are Indians. So chapter 1 and 2 was there last week, so they learned that, and then the question came about Arjuna put this argument that if I kill all these people, the family tradition will be lost and there will be Banda Sankaras and his whole thing is going to be destroyed. And this is very close to someone who is material, living in material life. And everybody has the same question. Why did Krishna did not respond to that question directly, right? Because Krishna doesn't respond direct way. In chapter 3 there is 3.24 or 26, I don't remember, but he responds again, even if you don't do, there are going to be Banda Sankaras, because you will not perform your duties, then the whole system will get destroyed, and then Banda Sankaras, same word he uses again, right? Sankaras. And I was like, okay, this speaks the nature of the person, right? Like thinking in that way, right? That why this is so dear. Even after knowing there is a body and soul, it's gonna go, but Arjuna is no. As Krishna knew that it's not so easy, it's not gonna go out of this thought. So that's my understanding, Prabhu. Dravida Prabhu, you want to add?
Yeah, Krishna is evolving his instructions throughout the Bhagavad Gita, and the idea that, I mean, Arjuna, he was correct in one sense. If the battle was just on the basis of material desire, if it wasn't Krishna's desire, then it would have been good not to fight it on that basis. But there were more important concerns, and the whole idea is that the entire rulership of the earth was in regard there, and so for the higher reason of establishing Yudhishthira on the throne and establishing good government and reintroducing Dharma in the world, then this other consideration is there. But because Krishna is the one who's managing the whole thing, then there wouldn't be any sin. In other words, Krishna can absolve you of the sin, that's something that looks sinful, but it's not, because he desired it for a higher cause. So we have to always see what the ultimate cause is. Just like, I mean, when someone takes sannyas, it's almost always a traumatic experience for the wife and the children, even Prabhupada's own family. They were upset that he took sannyas. But for the higher cause, for the benefit of humanity, to spread Krishna consciousness, it was the right thing for him to do. It wasn't like he committed any kind of sin. But in the considerations of the immediate family life, for those who weren't so advanced, it seems like this is very cruel and this is like this. But we have to see it from the higher perspective. What Krishna desired was for the benefit of the whole earth, to reestablish Yudhishthira and so forth. And there's always the other consideration is they're all being killed in the presence of Krishna, so they're all going back to Godhead or much higher destination. So on that level also, it's beneficial because Krishna is involved. If he wasn't there, then these other considerations would make.
Thank you, Prabhu. Prabhu, is that okay?
Oh, yes, that is okay. And if I may, very quickly, there's a quote from Bhagavad Gita where Srila Prabhupada emphasizes about being congenial or not, a family life. It goes as follows, quote, "But if it is not congenial, not favorable for spiritual advancement, then family life should be abandoned."
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your class and your answer.
Yeah, thank you. I think just last point I'll say before, in 1 minute. So a lot of even in devotee circle, we'll see people try to utilize this statement of not being respectful to parents and not being respectful to elder, saying that okay, I am now full time. Or I am serving Krishna, so I don't have any responsibility. But we should never misuse that, because unless we are in that platform and the intention is that level, like something like you really, really want to fully dependent on Krishna and no dependence on parents, unless we are not at that platforms, then we should continue respecting and kind of giving help or whatever support we can give, not just like reject parents, right? It's like different thing rejecting versus rejecting for some higher cause. Because a lot of time, at least I can say that I'm not that level where I know philosophy, I understand trying to practice, but not at that level of Prabhupada or the sannyas or that. So unless I'm on that platform, let's be respectful, let's be whatever we can do our best, which doesn't hinder our devotional life, right?
Just one final comment on that.
Yes.
I remember when I first joined the ashram back in '73, and there were many others, brahmacharis, and they had to encourage us, call your mother once a week, don't just, we would get calls from mothers, where is my son? They don't even know where he is, So, first of all, we should always remember that the parental attraction for you, which is very strong, just like we see here in Chitraketu, that can be to their benefit if you're actually a devotee. So if you abandon them and they don't know where you are and it's broken, first of all, they're very bitter against the movement, and they can often do harm. The whole deprogramming thing was because they didn't understand. So their attachment to you can actually be helpful for them, and so it's good to maintain that, not to excess, but so that they feel you still care. I would always visit my mother, and she became a subscriber to Back to Godhead magazine, like that. So just on that level also, it's important not to go to extremes with these things, and when those who can't understand it, because they have a very bad reaction, and it's not necessary.
Yes.
It's not like you spend a lot of time. It's just that they feel, okay, you remember us and like that, and so they can become very favorable to the movement,
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. All glories to Prabhupada. Vancha kalptaroscha kripa sindhuvya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha.